Good fam, now today we are bringing back the Andrew Tate content. Now this was a recent interview that was conducted with him. Now it's titled My Story from $0 to $100 million. President Donald Trump, God, Putin, and the works, it seems. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. In fact, for your viewership today, I'd like to say thank you so much. In fact, I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart by providing you with a free motivational PDF document which entails the strategies that I personally use to turn my life around spiritually and emotionally. So if you're in a tough place right now, I promise you that document will help you in some way, shape or form, and I do encourage you to go and download it. Other than that, thank you very much for tuning into Goals and Growth today, and let's get it.
I'm sure when
We're going to be checking out up until, I would say, the first girl who broke my heart, right? Let's check
finally point a gun to my head, I'm going to be a bit nervous. But all in all, it is what it is.
Andrew and Tristan Tate were arrested by Romanian police and detained for 24 hours.
A controversial social media influencer, Andrew Tate.
No, we're very innocent men, and in time, everybody's going to see that, and we're very excited to finish this judicial process and clear our names. And we all live one life, try to make your mark on the world, and make people understand how and why you think, and try and be a positive influence and have children, and I've done all of those things.
Yes,
My mother and father broke up when I was 10. We moved to England.
How did that affect you?
I'm carrying boxes of fish in a fish market at 7 in the morning for $40 a day. I'm not a rich guy. I'm just a poor guy with lots of money. People who misunderstand me have deliberately misunderstood me because they want to try and tear down my character. My soul is not for sale, neither are my principles.
There we go.
Thoughts on President Biden?
And listen, I to interrupt him there, but I do think after that whole Romanian jail incident, he did almost mature. I don't know if you guys would agree, but I think him and Tristan both, when they went through that experience, and they're currently going through it still, they both matured in a good way, right? There were things in the past that were always controversial, that were always a bit off the wall, right, in some of their podcasts and some of the interviews. But now they've really matured into proper role models, man.
You're certainly trying to get me killed.
What are your thoughts on the upcoming election, President Donald Trump?
Putin nailed it. It's the last hope for the West.
If President Tate was in office, as crazy as that sounds,
I think the world will be a dramatically different place in 20 years.
you getting thrown in jail.
I was put in the same cell as Tristan. We were put together so they could bug the cell. I had prepared for it the best I could. I wasn't ready for the level of Matrix attack I was subject to. Making money is very important when you fight a war.
Recurring revenue.
Hundreds of thousands of students.
Did Andrew Tate ever try monogamy?
Where else have people who have inspired millions who spoke against authority ever ended up besides jail or dead?
Well, there we go. There's your call, Andrew.
Matrix is calling.
Hi, my name is Andrew Tate. I went from a single mother household to a kickboxing world champion to thrown in a Romanian jail cell to trying to help you all escape the Matrix, and I am one of the passionate few.
Yes, sir.
My name's Brandon. My agency is Cannabud Marketing. We focus on doing majority SEO websites.
All right, let's get it. The passionate few.
I really enjoyed the interview with Omar today. I think it's interesting when podcasts deep dive on certain subjects, but also I think it's interesting where they touch on lots of subjects and inspire people to do a deep dive themselves and see how the topics and the subjects apply to them specifically.
Yes, sir.
People enjoy it.
Before we delve into this interview,
you
have to know that a few days after we filmed this, he was actually arrested again by Romanian officials facing UK extradition on new charges. He shares things he's never shared publicly before at great risk to him and his safety. So I want to encourage you guys to really pay attention to the very end because we talked about it all. Also, if you want exclusive access to the raw, unfiltered conversation of this
Can I just kind of comment on his YouTube marketing is outstanding, right? You got to watch until the end to hear the story he was talking about. That's just a great hook, man. But besides the point,
100% free by texting the word Tate to 323-919-8510, and you'll get instant access to it there. You can also check it out in the description down below to subscribe for email. And with no further ado, I want to encourage you guys to sit back, relax, enjoy this incredible interview that will blow your mind inside the soul of none other than Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Passionate Few podcast. It's your host, Omar, and today we have the privilege in Romania to sit down with none other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Andrew Tate. Thanks so much for being on the show today, Andrew.
Good to meet you, sir.
Oh man, appreciate you hosting us here in Romania and having us come to you. Beautiful country, and excited to get into this today.
Yeah, I want to show you guys around. Romania's got a very bad reputation internationally in general, and also because of what they've done to me. But to be fair to the place, it's actually a very nice place. It's a very nice country. It's safe. By all the metrics you can measure a society by, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Except for corruption. But then, we've just started the podcast, so I don't want to start off too strong and start screaming at the camera.
I mean, you got to give him credit, right? Even though he's been thrown in a jail cell by a Romanian authority, he's still spoken positively about the country. He's still spoken about how the country has positively impacted him, right? So I do commend him for that, and I do think that just shows his true character.
That America's the most corrupt nation on earth, and so I'm going to calm down a little bit. But yeah, it's a good place.
Well, speaking of America, we actually know that you're a big fan of Airheads. So we actually brought you some from the States.
Thank you very much.
And wanted to ask you, why Airheads?
I've always loved these as a child, and then when I left America, I think I was 11 or 10. I missed them. They didn't exist in England, and I've never really had them since. And now I keep getting given Airheads. I'm going to end up fat. My entire my physique, which I've worked on my whole life, was going to be disappeared because they're so addictive.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. You just said...
what did he... Then in that one interview, I think he said Airheads are the only thing that America makes that he actually likes.
Fan of Airheads. I know this is going to get me in a lot of trouble, but I'm going to say it anyway. That reminded me instantly. It made me think of a bunch of jokes about bimbo women. And I thought, thinking, do I say them? My brain was running quickly. You said, I know you're a fan of Airheads. And I thought about 30 jokes going, jail, that put me in jail, that put me in jail, that put me in jail. Let me just take the candy.
Before we get into it, we'll talk about a lot of what's going on. Obviously, not just what you've been going through with the Matrix.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, for people who may have not heard the origin story, talk to me a little about where you grew up.
Yeah.
I know you grew up in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Talk to me about young Andrew before you became literally the most viral person on earth. Talk to me, what was young Andrew? Where did he grow up? And where did the formation for this ambition really begin for you as a kid?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was born in D.C.
I did not. That's the first time me hearing that. I thought he was born in the UK, to be honest with you. I know he spent a while in the UK, him and Tristan. I thought he was UK born, so this is new.
It's outside of Gary, Indiana. And my father was a professional chess player, and I understood I had to work hard, and I had a duty to my last name. And from as young as I can remember, I was told, no, you have to be exceptional because your last name is Tate. It was very clear to me. It was never any other type of life that was laid out for me.
Yeah.
I never expected to have any other easy life, or never expected to have a normal life. My mother and father broke up when I was 10. We moved to England.
How did that affect you?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the reasons. If I had to self-analyze, when I moved from America to England, obviously you start all over again. You go to a new school, you have to make new friends.
Yeah.
Back then, I don't know how long ago that was, 20-something years, whatever. If you're American in England, it was slightly more unusual. Sure. And the kids would make fun of your accent or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to learn to stick up for yourself. You have to learn to fight and to be brave.
And I do know him and Tristan, when they ended up in the UK, they ended up in a pretty rough neighborhood, right? A lot of knife crime. Just not a nice place, man. So their upbringing was harsh. Right? It wasn't easy. It wasn't this amount of success and fame wasn't handed to them. They had to really get out of the slums there. So...
And if I had to be a psychotherapist, if I believed in these things and had to analyze my past as to why I am the way I am, I think the fact that at a fairly young age I was ostracized and forced to defend myself and forced to stick up for myself and was happy to have a different point of view because I knew nobody could pick on me.
Correct.
That probably has something to do with the reason I am the person I am, if I had to analyze it. So, you got me thinking now. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I need to take all my kids and pluck them, drag them out of school and drop them in Mongolia somewhere.
Yeah.
And see how that...
Was it something like a series of events? Because I can relate to that, where you feel like an outcast. You don't quite feel at home here. You don't quite feel at home with this group. So it teaches you to kind of stick up for yourself and fight for yourself.
I think it was just my brother and I. We turned up. Everyone said, haha, you're weird American kids. We said, yeah, we are. Say something to our face. And they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And that was it. And it just became us two.
Against the world.
Against the world. And I don't think
changed.
Man, I think if you really want an example of what true brotherly love and what true brotherhood looks like, is Andrew and Tristan Tate. I mean, on interviews, yeah, they might be interviewed separately. But, in other videos, they're always together. right? They always preach their messages together. One message fills the other. One message amplifies the other. It's just a perfect combo.
Changed. Yeah. I think that's the way it's supposed to be. It's very interesting when you understand the brutal dynamics of humanity and also the brutal dynamics of opinions in general. But unless you're prepared to defend your opinion, usually physically, especially outside of the internet world, you don't have an opinion at all. If you can't defend your ideas, if someone comes to you and says, I disagree with you, and you're afraid of that person, well, then you're not going to have any ideas different than what the Matrix wants you to hold.
Yes.
It takes a lot of bravery to stand up and say, I don't care, I know I'm right, despite the fact that the whole group or society or the consensus is saying this, because you're going to pay for that at some point.
Very true. And, you know, unfortunately, the whole school system, the whole job market in general, is designed to make you obedient. It's designed to make people say, you know what, I'm comfortable right now. Let me sit down. Let me do what I need to do. Out of necessity, of course, we have to do it, right? We have to eat. We have to have a roof over our heads. We have to care for our loved ones. But at the same time, it does destroy your creativity, and it does destroy your ability to think outside the box and think to yourself, well, you know what, maybe I could be doing something else. Maybe I could be good in something else. You always have to explore those avenues, and you always have to experiment in life. I'm a firm believer of experimentation. I'm a firm believer in trying new things, failing at them, learning from them, and moving on, right?
I know we live in a world now where physical confrontation and physical violence alone is not enough, but I still think it's intrinsic inside of the human condition. When you know that you are capable in that realm, you're more likely to stand up against the system. But you can't have an opinion if you don't defend it. If you can't defend it, if a guy comes up to you and says 2 + 2 is 5, and he can beat the shit out of you, I mean, maybe you'll end up a bloody pulp, or maybe you'll give up sooner, but sooner or later, 2 + 2 is going to equal 5. That's the reality of the world. So
if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think, just to talk about the childhood thing, I understood from a young age I had to stick up for myself and defend my ideas, and my ideas were always different, and I was always an outcast, I guess, to a degree, and that certainly played a part later on in my life, because it's been very easy for me to look at the programming the Matrix is trying to push down my throat and just say no.
Did you discuss a lot of philosophy with your dad growing up? Was he a confidant in that way? I know he's a chess master, but was he somebody you pitch and catch with, or was it mostly you and your brother that kind of pitch and catch?
Interesting question.
Early on?
My dad had his own philosophies. We definitely never read any philosophical books. We didn't study any old philosophers. But he'd say things now, which you can even still see his Twitter. If you want to see a philosopher, you can go through his Twitter now and see all of the things he was saying when he was still alive.
Yeah.
But I think life is actually pretty simple. There's action and reaction. There's cause and effect. There's brave people and there's cowards. A lot of people are self-interested. And if you understand the basis...
I think not a lot of people. I think most people are self-interested. I think 90% of people are I mean, how could you not be? We all are a little bit entitled, self-entitled. We all want it all to ourselves. We all want more, right? It's just human nature.
Motivations, it's not difficult to work out why the world functions the way it does. And cause and effect and action and reaction are very real. And I think one of the largest plagues we have in the world today is a lack of action amongst people. And
absolutely.
Deciding not to act is an action in and of itself, right? And that's the only philosophy you need for life. If you want something to move, you have to
take action.
If you sit and wait for somebody else to move it, you're a coward. And you're just hoping it's going to happen.
Period. Absolutely.
And that's why I don't understand when a lot of people who see where the world is going and see the future that's going to be laid out for their children kind of just hope and pray.
Yeah.
When they really need to be taking a more active role, even if it's as simple as discussing every subject with anyone who will listen and try to
open their mind.
Open minds, correct.
All right, guys, there we go. So pretty interesting take there. And I think he's absolutely correct. Instead of sitting back and waiting for something to change in your life, take action today. Take that step outside of your comfort zone, because if you are not willing to do it, your life is not going to change. It's going to be stagnant. You're going to be stuck in the same rut that you've always been stuck in. And I know most of you watching are in this position. I myself am in this position. So it's time for us to take action. And if you really want to improve your life, if you really want solid advice on how you can turn your life around emotionally, physically, and spiritually, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your viewership. We'll check out part 2 soon.